America has fallen, woke became a disease. They've made trillions off of mandatory lethal vaccines. The anthem plays and half the country is still taking a knee. Blacks and whites fighting over whose life matters the least. And Canada has fallen, people can't afford to pay for food. The media's all liberal, it's nothing but the fake news. There's oil in the ground and pipelines they refuse to use. You're only heard if you're Indigenous or LGBTQ. Australia has fallen, Ireland been up in flames. People rioting and dying, divided, fighting for change. And from Canada to Finland, Denmark, back to USA, it's a woke world. That's what we're standing up against. America to Europe, across the globe. Every country, every city, every neighborhood and home. It's infecting everything and everybody that we know, so just say it. Screw everything woke. Say it at the top of your lungs, don't let it go. Scream it out into the streets, I promise that you're not alone. Go ahead, say it with your chest, way down deep in your soul, but just say it. Screw everything woke.
Rise up, I can see your fire. You and me, we can burn what they built to the ground. Burn everything woke. Rise up, can't let them divide us. You and me, we can burn this woke world down. Burn everything woke.
The whole world's fallen to the globalist elite. They want one God, one leader, one currency. It's the cigarettes, the vaccines, the food that you eat. Either way, the deep state wants you 6 feet deep. Fill your headphones with music, reinforcing their beliefs, and replace your own thoughts with the lies on TV. It's a woke world, and we won't survive if we're asleep. So wake up before you rest in peace.
Rise up, I can see your fire. You and me, we can burn what they built to the ground. Burn everything woke. Rise up, can't let them divide us. You and me, we can burn this woke world down. Burn everything woke.
America has fallen, turned our men into women. Our billionaires get private islands where they're trafficking children. The flag is burning in the streets, we don't believe the politicians. We defunded the police and free speech has been restricted. And Canada has fallen, their dollar ain't worth a buck. If you misgender someone there, you're getting fined or locked up. Trudeau censored the internet, then they banned half the guns. The trucker convoy was the last breath of freedom in their lungs. And the UK has fallen, getting woker every day. It's illegal immigrants throwing acid into faces. Protests and riots, COVID record inflation. The people lost their freedom, Great Britain lost its greatness. America to Europe, across the globe. Every country, every city, every neighborhood and home. It's infecting everything and everybody that we know, so just say it. Screw everything woke. Say it at the top of your lungs, don't let it go. Scream it out into the streets, I promise that you're not alone. Go ahead, say it with your chest, way down deep in your soul, but just say it. Screw everything woke.
Rise up, I can see your fire. You and me, we can burn what they built to the ground. Burn everything woke. Rise up, can't let them divide us. You and me, we can burn this woke world down. Burn everything woke.
America has fallen, woke became a disease. They've made trillions off of mandatory lethal vaccines. The anthem plays and half the country is still taking a knee. Blacks and whites fighting over whose life matters the least. And Canada has fallen, people can't afford to pay for food. The media's all liberal, it's nothing but the fake news. There's oil in the ground and pipelines they refuse to use. You're only heard if you're Indigenous or LGBTQ. Australia has fallen, Ireland been up in flames. People rioting and dying, divided, fighting for change. And from Canada to Finland, Denmark, back to USA, it's a woke world. That's what we're standing up against. America to Europe, across the globe. Every country, every city, every neighborhood and home. It's infecting everything and everybody that we know, so just say it. Screw everything woke. Say it at the top of your lungs, don't let it go. Scream it out into the streets, I promise that you're not alone. Go ahead, say it with your chest, way down deep in your soul, but just say it. Screw everything woke.
Rise up, I can see your fire. You and me, we can burn what they built to the ground. Burn everything woke. Rise up, can't let them divide us. You and me, we can burn this woke world down. Burn everything woke.
The whole world world's fallen to the globalist elite. They want one God, one leader, one currency. It's the cigarettes, the vaccines, the food that you eat. Either way, the deep state wants you 6 feet deep. Fill your headphones with music, reinforcing their beliefs, and replace your own thoughts with the lies on TV. It's a woke world, and we won't survive if we're asleep. So
what a day. What a day. I took a nap because I'm old and fat. Mostly because I'm old, but there's that. Alright. Well, welcome to the show. It's a horrible show, a terrible show. Absolutely the worst. You can always ask anyone about it. People often do, and it's getting worse every day. Well, technically every week, because we don't do a show every day. But lots of news going on in the world today.
Yeah? Like, what are you going to cover? Out of curiosity. What's on your mind?
Oh, we got a bunch of stuff. Most of it's pulled up, so I don't know why you're asking what are you going to cover.
I don't know. You could have switched some stuff. I have no clue.
Yeah, sure. All right. We got 2 wonderful guests here in the show again. As you can see, we got Grogu here representing, filling in for John today. And we got Professor Logachu over there, filling in for Logan today. So, we'll see how that goes. But, Professor Logachu, do you want to start us off with this first one? No?
No, I don't think he wants to talk.
No, most of them are mute. Alright, so, if you've been living under a rock, apparently there have been tens of thousands of migrants flooding into Spain.
The small part of Spain that's on the tip of Africa.
I think there's 2 small parts of Spain on the tip of Africa.
I think it's...
I believe there's 2 of them, I think. The one is right there by the strait, going from the Mediterranean. You can just go ahead and pull up a map, babe, if you want. From the Mediterranean over into the Atlantic Ocean. Just click the 9 dots there by my thing. Click that. Go down to maps. Just pull up maps. Scroll out. Scroll out.
I was just trying to do it so I didn't have to do that.
That's fine. There you go. Scroll in on Spain. And that Portugal country there. So, yeah, this probably is called the Strait of Gibraltar, I bet. Oh, I didn't know that was another sea right there. Still going to call it the Mediterranean anyways. So right there in the tip of Africa, there's that spot. That's where they're talking about if you don't know the geography. Scroll in. Get closer to that. That little bit with the white dotted line that you see, that is part of Spain. So the estimates range as high as, 80,000?
I think the last estimate was 50 to max 80. Some spots are saying closer to maybe 60,000. But
okay, so
how can they fully accurately count?
Yeah. No, when they're flooding in that fast, it's hard to get an accurate count. But the high estimates are 80,000. Apparently, this article here is claiming that tens of thousands or whatnot are leaving voluntarily. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen anything else really confirming that you can call credible. I mean, AP is halfway credible. Half the time they're telling the truth. Half the time they're full of crap.
Yeah, but they're also saying they have the military come over and start kind of getting them out. There's some pictures of them rounding some up, but there could still also be a lot hiding in that section of land. Well,
what sucks is, Spain is part of the EU. And so because they're part of the EU, there's a lot of free travel to the rest of Europe. It's a lot like the United States and the EU, where you don't really need to keep a passport on you to travel along into countries that are part of the EU. And then there's, of course, the loopholes with, England. The United Kingdom left the EU, but then they still have this agreement with Ireland and with the territory of Northern Ireland, where you can still cross the border there freely. And so it's you can cross into the EU, which then lets you cross into Ireland, which then you can just walk across the border into the United Kingdom anyways. But there's a lot of free travel, or free movement there, allowed in the country. Sorry, not country, in the EU. And so the question is once they're in this, are they going to start getting across the Strait of Gibraltar and start moving into the rest of Europe?
That's why some other places put restrictions already. They
But
were
apparently-
not going to allow them. They were going to be checking everyone coming through the borders from.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the
Spain.
thing, though, is apparently there was a whole bunch of, an uptick of violence that happened with all this. So that's one thing that sucks, is they're dealing with that. And what is their population there, babe? You said it was like...
It was around 80,000, so if you had even 50,000 come in...
You said this place of Spain, that population is about 80,000.
Yes, this little section here is around 80,000 people, this one small area. So around 50,000 to maybe 60,000 entered it. It almost doubled the population of that place.
'Cause I had heard as high as possibly 80,000. But that's the thing, it's hard when you have them coming in this fast. And if it's freaking 80,000 population there, even if it's 40,000 people coming in, you don't have the means to be able to stop that many people coming in, because not all of those people, that 80,000 people you have there, are freaking border enforcement.
And it seemed like what I was hearing a little bit more is one of these two towns, or one of the two sections where people can easily get across, there wasn't that bad. But then the other section, when you start seeing the videos of the migrants throwing rocks, that was the other town. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure which town it was, but one was just them coming in. The police was like, okay, whatever. The other town, the migrants were throwing rocks at the police. The police were still trying to enforce it.
Yeah.
So that might be the two different
But that's...
things we're seeing. Why we might be seeing conflicting
That's
information.
not uncommon though too. It's like the front line of the armed forces when they're at war in World War II, and you have the Battle of the Bulge. What happened was American forces got pushed back by the Germans, but then part of the line though, they still held their position. They still successfully fought back the Germans, and so they ended up being surrounded. And so it's like in one part of this area, they still held the border. They were still doing the job. While the other side, either they weren't doing the job or they gave up because there was too much, or they were pushed back themselves. I don't know. But that's not uncommon though. When you're dealing with this kind of a surge, a rush in, it's an invasion.
Yeah, it's not exactly good.
No, it's not good. But supposedly, let's go back to this article and go through it a little bit.
Just a second. I was going to show...
What? No, get some of the terrain in there.
Well, just get a regular look at the map. There. That way it's easier for us to see.
Okay.
That thing.
I'm not sure what you're trying to do, so I'm confused.
Just to show the actual line where the map is, the border, because it was kind of getting broken up.
Okay.
So there were the two towns, I think this Benzu and Situa, or Principal.
Yeah. We don't speak Spanish,
I know.
so we're probably screwing that over. And that's if
So-
those are even Spanish words, to be honest. It's on the tip of Africa.
So these parts right here were, I think, the parts that people were invading.
Yeah. Up in the north and southern parts.
Yeah. Those are like the two main spots I think they were invading, getting hit really hard. But if there's 80,000 people...
Well, it looks like
in this
that's where
area,
the main roads are in the area, too.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like those are the main roads, so those would probably be your main port of entries there.
Yeah,
So
like
you see
right
at the
here.
bottom, scroll back in a little bit. There you go, Moroccan Customs.
Looks like that's the main port, and then you don't really get over here. It's like small.
Yeah.
So it's sad. I hope everyone's
Let's get
okay.
back to the article.
We don't know for sure.
All right, yeah. So, Cretu's president put the number of migrants at 60,000, which was equivalent to 70% of the territory's population. But most of them soon went back, the Spanish government said, after the sudden arrival of so many people sparked a humanitarian crisis. What they really mean is a criminal rampage crisis, because these people, there's a lot of damaging of grave sites, throwing rocks, being violent across the country.
Other places have shown pictures where there's just trash everywhere. It's filthy. The beaches are filthy from them coming over. They just ditched everything. It's a mess.
Mm-hmm. Some migrants swam several miles through the sea and faced down authorities who tried to turn them back with water cannons, tear gas, and warning shots. Those who died included some who drowned or were killed in a stampede to cross a breakwater barrier near a border checkpoint.
Yep.
So those water barriers you see at the end of K-rails or concrete barriers, that's kind of what they're talking about there. Not specifically that, but a water barrier. It's a filled water barrier, I'm thinking.
Yep.
Sanchez blamed human smugglers for the crisis, saying they deceived so many young people and ultimately lead many of them to their deaths, whether in the ocean or in the city. And these were mostly military-aged men who were coming across. There was only a couple photos, I think you said you saw.
I saw two girls in two different photos, but they could have been possibly the same girl. I can't fully remember. They're in different articles, different
they're all
positions.
covered in burqas and black. Who would know?
No, she wasn't covered that way. You could actually see her face, but
okay.
Basically, if I did see it, I only saw two girls in all of them. These are just men. Men that are around 20 years old.
They're mostly men. You're not seeing really women, children, elderly.
I didn't see any children in those pictures either.
Because you only saw two photos of girls. And you know the American media, they're going to do everything they can to portray it in the best way they can. So they'll front load all the pictures of women if they can.
Well, there's also the risk people discuss. Maybe some of those pictures are AI to put a girl in some of those pictures when it's not true. But I only saw potentially two girls, no children, in the pictures I've looked at.
Yeah.
It's all men. So 60,000 men stormed the place.
Yeah, and if you're wondering why is this even happening, it's kind of a double whammy. Especially when it comes to the violence that we've seen in the videos. Because what's happened is their version of the Supreme Court in Spain ruled that they're not allowed to turn away a lot of migrants who come through waterways. And I guess according to their definition, this port or this part of the country would be considered a waterway entry into Spain. Mm-hmm. Even though it's a physical land barrier that's there that they're crossing.
Because you can't exactly just shove them back in the ocean and say, swim back.
But Morocco also has, I believe they have a king, or at least they celebrate a king's day of some kinds, their version of a president's day. And apparently their king, it's customary for the king to hand out pardons, from what I understand. Is it a king
from Morocco or a king from Spain?
Morocco.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
It's Morocco. Spain, I don't think, is a monarchy.
Yeah, I don't think it is anymore either.
No. So apparently it's customary for the King of Morocco during that time of the year to hand out a few pardons, but apparently he had issued 2,000 pardons, and we have no clue who he pardoned. It could have been criminals that said, hey, we'll pardon you if you leave the country. Just happened to be perfectly timed. Mm-hmm. With all of this going on as well, so it's who knows? They said tens of thousands have left, but there's probably a bunch that haven't, and of those, there may be a lot of criminals amongst them, for all we know.
Yeah, they're saying here it's estimated 50,000 people, or early in the article it says 60,000 crossed from Morocco. Since Thursday, it added that 48,300 had already returned to Morocco. So around 2,000 or 12,000. Are still there, potentially. Because up earlier, the Sanchez, their president, said he's got
that's the thing, is it's estimates.
Yes.
They don't even have hard numbers, and where is this guy from the Spanish ministry getting this information? And how are they calculating it?
But yeah, this picture, I don't see any children, just about 20 years old. Maybe this guy right here might be 16 or 17.
The only thing that's lucky for Spain here is that this is on the African continent, and they can just shut off the ferries if they need to stop people from being able to come over if they absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Until they get control. That's if they were even willing to do that, though. some of the 57 people who died had drowned, they said. So 57 people died in the event.
I think the number is now maybe 60.
Okay, so it's been going up.
So maybe just a couple, but it's not past.
But that's
70.
not a surprise when people rush anything like this. Like, if there's people all the time who will die not from the fire in the building, but from being stampeded on by people trying to get out, and they get pushed around, they fall down, and they get stepped on until they die.
Yep.
So it's not uncommon for those kind of things to happen when you have a whole bunch of people rushing through in an instant like this. So yeah, let's go ahead and hit up the next article we got for us today. We got quite a few.
So this one's down a little bit farther. They are kind of blaming Sanchez, but this points out a difference here.
Yeah, what's up?
There is something different about this latest instance. Most migrants were Moroccan, and critics allege Moroccan law enforcement were absent, even complicit.
Oh, really?
Thousands of migrants were freely crossing the border by foot. Some of them appeared to be women and kids, which I didn't see on the pictures, but maybe they went through the land border part there.
I wonder if it
coordinated flow.
Well, with that pardon that he had done, I mean, I wonder if this was a complicit event. Say, hey, because you had seen something, right? I forgot about it, but you had seen something about them like advertising how easy it is to get into Spain.
Yeah, right here. So I think that after almost 48 hours since the beginning of the crisis, we can safely say that this was a manufactured crisis.
Okay.
Ricardo Fabini. We have testimonies by some Moroccans who crossed into Situa. I'm probably saying it wrong.
I don't know. I don't care. It's Spain.
Videos circulating online showing trucks full of people unloading them in front of the complicit Moroccan police forces. And some of the migrants who crossed said they read messages circulating on social media and messaging platforms about the ease of crossing the border into Situa and expected to be welcomed and taken in by the Spanish mainland. So, coordinated.
Yeah, probably coordinated. Who knows? Maybe they're like, hey, Russia took over Crimea by just walking outside of their base. Maybe we can try the same thing. Let's just see if we can get a bunch of people to rush the border and get Spain to just want to give up on that. Maybe that's what it was. They wanted to get the port. They wanted all of that.
Yep, and other places are putting pressure on them. Some of the close countries to Spain are saying we're going to be closing our borders and checking every single passport, tightening our scrutiny and waterways, making sure none of those people get in case they get onto the mainland.
It's easier for the rest of Europe to do that because the border does narrow down right there. Go back to the map. You still have the map showing Europe. Scroll up. Yeah, go up to the top of Spain. Who all borders Spain? Obviously Portugal borders Spain, but they're kind of screwed because that's like their entire border.
Yeah. Portugal.
Go up to the border of Spain.
Here.
Up to the border of Spain. Zoom in.
France.
Yeah, there's another country. I think it's Luxembourg. Scroll down. Scroll in. Scroll in. Or is it... Okay, so is that Andorra then? I didn't know that was even a country, if that is one.
It looks like it has a kind of border around it.
Yeah. So I thought there was one there. I know there's one between France and another country that's all squished. There's Switzerland there, and there's Luxembourg up there by Germany and them. Yeah. But no, so Andorra, I guess, is a freaking tiny little country right there. So they're kind of... They actually might be the most screwed because they probably don't have much resources to fight that crap off.
But I guess at the same time over here, Rome might have to have a little bit of concern if they're doing that kind of thing going this way. Italy.
Maybe, maybe not. I would doubt it. I think they're probably going to be fine.
Hopefully.
This is just dealing with Morocco and Spain because of their border that they share right there at the Strait of Gibraltar.
That is true. And Mayalo accused Moroccan authorities of failing to do their job to prevent migrant crossing from their side of the border. He went on to suggest that a lapse in security may have been intentional, a form of punishment for Spain's recent tensions with the U.S. and Israel. So it's just not a good situation right now.
Like
over there.
tensions of U.S. and Israeli actions that Spain doesn't stop or disagree with, or what? That doesn't make sense.
Relations between Spain and Israel have been tense ever since Spain emerged as one of most of
Okay,
Europe's
but what
most
does Morocco have to
outspoken
do with
critics.
that?
I just don't think they're happy with something going on over there.
Gosh dang it, everyone wants to go to the Jews and blame them. It's like, just shut up and give me a coherent argument, for goodness sakes.
Spain refused to raise military spending to 5% of its GDP as Trump has demanded NATO countries to do.
But what does that have to do with Morocco? I don't think Morocco really has any hostilities towards the U.S. or anything. I haven't heard of anything with them.
I think there's a little bit of a feud with Spain and us.
Well, yeah, but what does that have to do with Morocco? That's the thing. This
I think
is Morocco
is kind
and
of
Spain.
an ally, and they're fine with what's going on with Spain, and so they wanted to punish, or they're fine with what's going on with Israel, but they wanted to punish Spain.
I don't know. That sounds like crap to me. I think that's just conspiracy nonsense, probably. Who knows? We'll see.
Every country has their
I've been
plan
proven
in mind.
wrong a lot because how many freaking conspiracy theories have been proven true over the last 10 years. It's insane.
Yeah, it is. That's life.
I used to laugh at people who said that freaking, what was it? The Gulf of Tonkin incident was all staged, only to then see the Pentagon Papers release that actually showed it was staged. It's like, oh, great. So 50,000 plus American men died in frickin' Vietnam for nothing. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's sad. It's
Yeah.
sad what people can do, what they can manipulate to happen.
Mm-hmm. Alright, let's hit up that next story. So, Fauci is back in the news. The mass murderer himself, the most successful mass murderer in human history, Dr. Anthony Fauci. He is confessed, by the way. He has confessed to committing mass murder, just so you know. If you don't believe that, then go read his pardon where he confessed to any and all crimes against the United States. So, he has confessed to mass murder because that is a crime in the United States.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Anthony Fauci has made the Fifth Amendment famous again by 115 times he claimed the Fifth Amendment, which technically he's actually not legally allowed to do.
It was at
in
least
this
over
circumstance.
100. It was at least
over 100, and technically, and each time that he claimed the Fifth Amendment privilege, which he is not allowed to do in this scenario, can constitute a contempt of Congress charge, and if it's over 115 or 115 times is how many times he actually did it, then that would be up to a max of 2 years per incident, which could be up to 230 years in prison that he could theoretically face.
Okay.
Theoretically. Let's be honest, he's never going to see a day in jail.
Just
but
like so many
theoretically,
Just
he
like
could.
so many other people have never seen a day in jail, and they should.
Well, yeah, so if you're wondering why he's not allowed to claim the Fifth Amendment while other people are, is because he confessed to these crimes that he committed. That's the Fifth Amendment, that's the pardons he received from Biden. There's a two-step process in the pardon. One step is Biden signed the pardon and delivered it to Fauci. It is not official until Fauci chooses to accept the pardon. Once he accepts the pardon, now it is in effect. And the reason why is because the Supreme Court, I can't remember the name of the case, the Supreme Court heard a case on the issue of a pardon. And it was determined by the Supreme Court that when you're given a pardon, it is tantamount to admitting guilt. And so what it is when you've actually accepted. So there's actually one guy, I think, from the Biden pardon release that he did, all those pardons he signed. One guy who rejected the pardon because he's like, no, I didn't do anything wrong, and I'm not going to take this pardon and pretend like I did, because that one guy is the only guy that Congress could actually call in to testify, and he could legally use the Fifth Amendment because he has not confessed to any crimes. When you accept the pardon, you are legally recognized as confessing to committing those crimes, and you waive your right to use the Fifth Amendment in those cases. And so, while it's been recognized in Supreme Court precedent and in the past that if you claim the Fifth Amendment privilege after having received the pardon for the crimes you're being interviewed about by Congress, you are committing contempt of Congress. You are in violation of the law. You're not actually allowed to plead the Fifth. He's not allowed to remain silent. He doesn't have that right anymore. He is obligated by law to answer their questions. Which should tell you a lot if he's willing to face jail time rather than tell the truth. How bad the truth is if he's willing to face jail time for not telling the truth.
Yeah, or someone had him do all of this and he's covering for him.
Yeah, maybe,
He's
but he is
prison.
guilty of genocide. He is guilty of genocide. Sorry. Not sorry. He confessed to, his pardon says, any and all crimes committed between those two dates. So, as far as I'm concerned, any and all crimes means all crimes that are listed in the Federal Registry as felonies and misdemeanors. So, use your imagination with what crimes he's confessed to. He's probably a friend of Jeffrey Epstein as well.
Yeah.
So I had pulled this up last minute because you'd gone through, found a bunch of articles, and this one, I didn't want to get this one missed, so I made sure to bring this up because this was big news this week.
Yep.
So Rand Paul, in part of this was hilarious, kicked one of his lawyers out of the room because he had a whole entourage of lawyers. There's a bunch of them who were seated at the bench, but this one was not supposed to be seated at the bench. Still sat at the bench when instructed not to, so he violated the rules there. And then, after being seated at the bench, proceeded to talk when not being recognized by the committee chair. And kept interrupting, kept doing that crap. And so, he ended up getting kicked out of the building for doing that. So which effectively, I mean, he could even be charged for contempt of Congress there too. But we're being honest, like, it's funny, the left-wing media is trying to portray this as Rand Paul's freaking show that he's trying to put on and get Fauci for. But in reality, it was Fauci and his team who were trying to turn it into a show. It would not have been nearly... All it would have been was just him pleading the Fifth the whole time if that lawyer didn't make a show of it by not shutting up when he was told to shut up. So, there's that. What do you think? You want to see him in jail?
Well, a lot of people have died. I know
All
this
because of
article
him.
points out that
Fauci's
1.6
lockdowns failed and led to huge collateral damage. An estimated 1.6 million extra American deaths occurred in 2020 to 2023. All because he had to fund a virus to commit genocide.
And nearly 1 million more deaths are estimated to come over the next 15 years due to the economic shutdown caused by the lockdowns. But this is the concerning part. Children were among the most damaged victims. Besides severe educational losses, lockdowns caused spikes in anxiety, depression, drug abuse, self-harm, eating disorders, and teen suicides. And
And let's not forget all the vaccines that were given to these kids that has been proven in scientific studies, and the media has reported on, even this freaking left-wing media has reported on it, that the myocarditis is a common side effect of the jab. So yeah, screw the media. They're lying, filthy hoes. They probably should be charged for all these deaths just along with Fauci because of the lies they pushed, and they knew they were lies too. They knew it was bull crap. They could see through it. They've been in the game for a long time. They knew he was lying.
You and I were not trusting the vaccine. It
No.
came out within a couple months. It was supposed to be ready and prepared.
Nope.
I did not trust it.
No, I am, as what many often jokingly refer to as pure blood. We are all pure blood in this household. We are not
unless
tainted.
Unless we got it from the skin shedding, because we had coworkers.
Well, it depends on how severe that was and how.
We don't know.
Because I know there's a lot of it that there's a lot of stuff that was overblown though too, and not likely to happen. All right, well, let's hit up the next one. So if you just, well, actually, you know, a little bit more on that real quick though too, is when it comes to all of this, it's like he may have received a pardon, and these vaccine companies like Pfizer that participated in this, what they need to understand is the Supreme Court only enforces that which they believe they can get away with. Which means when it comes to the law that was passed that gives them immunity, something to keep in mind is that law is only going to protect them as long as the Supreme Court thinks they can enforce that law. It's like the Supreme Court can rule in a way that's completely unconstitutional, in a complete violation of the U.S. Constitution, as long as they think the culture will allow them to do that. The culture used to support regulating speech and restricting free speech. But those laws have gone away because our culture has changed, and and we've allowed for even more open free speech. Because we used to ban blasphemy all across the U.S., and now those blasphemy laws, even some of them are still written and in place in law, are completely unenforced because we just as a culture don't support enforcing those laws anymore. And so the law is protecting these companies. And like, for example, the Supreme Court, not the Supreme Court, sorry, the U.S. Constitution says that you can't be prosecuted for something that's a crime now but wasn't a crime before. That's a fungible statement, because the Supreme Court can rule that the law protecting these was never constitutional in the first place, and they could allow for retroactive enforcement because they're like, well, this was always unconstitutional. So even though we're going to rule it unconstitutional today, guess what? It was also unconstitutional back when it was passed. And so they can eradicate that law and pave the way for these companies to be prosecuted. And if you continue to frickin' stand up, you continue to protest, you continue to go after these companies for what they did along with Fauci, eventually the Supreme Court will pave the way for their prosecution and for their civil liability for what happened with the COVID jab and everything. Because, as I said, the government can only enforce that which the culture is going to allow them to enforce. And a great example of this is marijuana. Marijuana, for the most part across the U.S., is legal. But it's still illegal federally. But the federal government has no power to stop it. And that's all because to enforce these laws, they need state cooperation to do it. And almost every single state has decided now to not cooperate in most cases. There's only like maybe half the states or so are still against recreational use, but medical use is pretty much across the U.S. now. So none of these states are cooperating with them on it, and they can't enforce it. They can't go out there and arrest the millions of people who go and use weed recreationally. They can't do it. They don't have the resources to do it. They need local law enforcement. Mm-hmm. And so if the culture shift changes and starts to move in the other direction, the federal government will be forced to go in that direction, because politics is always downstream from culture. And the great damage that was done to this country was when they politicized our culture like they did after the 90s. Going into the 2000s, post 9/11, the worst thing that happened was the transition of our culture into politics. So where now pop culture is politics. That's why there's so many political podcasts. Like this one is also that I started. Is all the ones that came before me that paved the way, that became pop culture on the left and on the right. And that was one of the great damages that was done.
Yeah.
And we can repair it. I mean, but we can't really go back to the 90s. It's kind of too late for that.
Yeah, that's true.
Well. Let's go ahead and hit up that next story. Let's see what's going on in the world, I guess.
Okay. So this is pretty shocking
Oh.
that this lady got away with it for so long.
Yeah, you brought this one up to me. You go on about this a little bit while I'm looking.
Michigan woman baffled to learn she donated over $1,500 to Act Blue and Democrats. This is going on for some time. According to Federal Election Commission records, 88-year-old Elizabeth Waffle has been giving nearly nonstop to the Democratic fundraising juggernaut Act Blue since 2020 for a total of more than $150,000. So they contacted her. She lives in a trailer because she's elderly. You don't have a whole lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And they questioned her about it. $150,000? Hell no. I don't have that kind of money.
Miss Waffle.
Yeah, that's what she said to them. Who has that kind of money to be donating for over 6 years? That's a lot of money. What are you looking at, hon?
No, I was just reading that. Yeah. My goodness, it's just the amount of fraud and scams going on in all of this is ridiculous.
Yep. The donations in her name are documented by the FEC and are small amounts ranging from as low as 66 cents to $30.
But you look at this, though, it's like the crackdowns on this fraud. This is clearly fraud. I mean, she's probably not losing the money. It's probably just in her name, but it's not her that's donated it.
Yeah.
She's not losing this money, but this is a roundabout way for the Democrat Party to get the money that they needed to run. And you look at USAID now being shut down, and now the Democrats are in debt. I just saw a story. Maybe I should have pulled that one up, but I just had seen a story as well about the DNC levied their headquarters in D.C., I believe. Their headquarters in D.C. as collateral for a loan for this election cycle. And they're already, I think it was $3 million in debt, while the Republicans are nowhere near debt. They aren't needing to take out loans. They got hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank account waiting to go into the campaigns. And then you look at this, and it's just like the money they've been laundering effectively has been drying up. With USAID now being shut down, which is probably one of the best things Trump ever did. That of everything Trump has done, good and bad, that's the one thing that's going to have the longest lasting effect on the United States is shutting down the USAID. All the money that's been funneled by them through and back into politics for establishment figures and the Democrats. Because it's not just the Democrats that are affected by this. It's establishment figures here in the U.S. are as well. And then all those communist parties down frickin' south of the border in Central and South America that are now suffering too because the right wings down there are starting to win. Mm-hmm. All after USAID got shut down.
Did you want to hear where this money from her supposedly went?
Where?
Most of the money went to Act Blue, but she is also recorded as having made 15 donations to Michigan Democratic Senate candidate Abdul El Sayed, 104 donations made to House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, New York Democrat, and 336 donations to the Democratic Political Action Committee.
339, you said 6.
Sorry, 339 donations. That is a lot. And right here in blue I highlighted.
And it said most of the money went to Act Blue, but Act Blue just distributes that money amongst Democrat campaigns. So it's just most of that probably still went to these people, and then some of it probably just went to some smaller stuff like local elections.
And the reporter who came and talked to her, she told them she doesn't own a computer and has spotty internet. How is she supposed to do?
How is she supposed to make all these donations when she doesn't have a computer and spotty internet service?
And like right here, the frequency.
She's an old lady. What do you expect? She probably doesn't even know how to use a freaking smartphone properly.
Possibly. The frequency of the donations in Miss Waffle's name is staggering. For example, 21 donations were made on May 30th, and another 18 donations were made on May 31st. Multiple donations in her name were made nearly every day.
This is how you know it's all just money laundering, because there's so many donations. How many people go and just make a bunch of donations in a single day to political campaigns?
So,
Most people can barely even give away enough money to give to one campaign. I donated to Trump once. That's it. Once. How is that not like flying the red flag? But I mean, it's Act Blue. Why would they even look at red flags? They're the ones probably doing it. They probably have a whole third-party company they hire to do all this money laundering for them.
how many donations do you think were made in her name that they have record on here?
How many? Thousands?
Let's find out right here. More than 13,000 donations.
You want to
Because
tell
they were
me
ranging between
What
66
years?
cents,
What years is this happening between?
2020 through 2026. This article is posted. So 2020 to basic 2024 or 2025. In 4 or 5 years.
20 through 2020 to 2025. So that's 5 years, right?
Yeah, it could be even this year. This article came out earlier this year, July 23rd. So anytime previously between this, they don't record when they talk to her, but even if you cut it off in 4 years.
How many donations was it? 13,000 what?
13,000 donations.
Just 13,000 is the number they gave. So on average, she was making 7.12 donations per day.
Yeah.
For those 5 years.
So
Yeah, that's absurd.
who knows?
Who donates that often to political campaigns, and let alone even has the money to be able to do that?
I don't know. So
And as you said, it's like a whole bunch of them on just May 30th and then May 31st. Like, it wasn't all just every single day 7 donations. It was sudden spurts of a lot of donations all at once.
yeah, they were cheap, 66 cents to $30.
Yeah, that's definitely money on it. Because at one time there was fraud in our bank account. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was just like 100 or so different charges or more.
They're under $5 each.
It was always just like under $5. All these little charges when we had that issue and someone was able to get our freaking card number. That's what that was. It's never a big amount. It's always these tiny bits to try and just weasel a little bit off of you.
So the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee is investigating Act Blue, and that's the next article.
Mm-hmm.
Act Blue claimed attorney-client privilege over the documents the House committee is now seeking. And up here they received fraudulent campaign donations from foreigners, and that they may have misled Congress about the matter.
Where do you have that Act Blue claimed what? Where is that?
Right here, Act Blue claimed
attorney-client privilege over the documents the House committee is now asking.
Yep.
What documents are they asking for?
They want to know what's going on. They want proof.
That doesn't sound like attorney-client privilege.
I know. They're trying to research.
Attorney-client privilege is like email and text conversations between you and your attorney. And video recordings or audio recordings of you and your attorney's conversation. That's attorney-client privilege, not documents of the actual donations themselves and your finances when they're trying to do a criminal investigation of you.
Well, this previous paragraph is talking about the Oversight Committee and Government Reform Committee are investigating them. That's the next article we're talking about a little bit.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing, though. The attorney-client privilege is typically only covers documents of communications between you and your attorney. Or like if you have there's an audio recording of you telling your attorney, yeah, I frickin' did it, just find a way to get me out of this. That's attorney-client privilege documents. It's freaking if they're asking for financial records to do a forensic audit, that's not attorney-client privilege. All they need to do is do a subpoena or get a freaking warrant, one of the two.
Yeah, but I just think they don't want to exactly admit that. In the next article, they were mentioning about how they were lax on
the next article, the next tab.
Yeah, next
just
tab.
Pull it up.
They were lax on verifying regulations with them.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want this next article?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
So, new House report details Act Blue's illicit foreign donations and a cover-up. The Democrats' favorite and alleged crooked fundraising platform is under greater scrutiny. Fraud on Action Blue, Part 2, illicit foreign donations and a cover-up spur mass resignations and firings on Act Blue's legal and compliance team. Sheds more light on the criminally
they're
suspect
scrambling
practices.
like cockroaches when the lights turned on.
Yeah,
They're panicking because they're getting caught.
Yep, sheds more light on the criminally suspect practices of the left-wing fundraising titan. It's really illegal to accept political contributions from foreign entities and individuals. That's why I think they're doing that client confidentiality. They don't want to release the information.
They're trying to hold back everything they can.
But farther down in this article, it mentions that they're pretty sure Act Blue knew they were being lax, and they just weren't caring about all of these fraudulent donations going through.
Yeah, but that's being complicit. That's being complicit in a crime, and then they can be charged for that crime too.
Yep.
If they know that their platform is being used for a crime, they have the opportunity to report it. But at the same time, though, too, it's arguable that they wanted that to happen.
So you know how you're talking about the I plead the fifth?
Mm-hmm.
The report reveals that 5 former and current Act Blue employees appearing for depositions invoked their Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination during questioning for a total of, this is 5 employees, 146 times.
Damn. Well, they haven't actually gotten a pardon, so they do have the right to plead the fifth. That is an option for them legally.
But also, this is not surprising as well. It also details the mass exodus of the platform's legal and compliance team in the wake of the 2024 election. Within 4 months following the sweeping Republican victory, the Democrat fundraising machine's legal and compliance team was gone, having resigned, been fired, or stepped out on extended leave.
Wow. I can tell Logan's fuming right now. His cheeks are getting really red.
So, what do you think when you see all that fraud on that poor lady, $150,000 in her name? She doesn't have that money. It was obviously fraud. It was money laundering getting pushed for those campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
This is why they don't want to reveal the documents.
No, definitely
They don't want to reveal because they knew it was going on and they knew they were complicit.
Absolutely, that's what it looks like at least.
So, according to subsequent media reports, this mass exodus was a direct consequence of Act Blue's failure to deter illegal foreign political donations, which the committee first uncovered in April 2025. Deter.
Failure in
to
quotation
deter.
mark. And I'm not correcting your pronunciation. You were fine. I'm putting that in quotation marks. They probably were complicit in it. They were probably complicit in it.
So April of 2025. That's when all this came about. And Act Blue's employees deposed by the committee's decline to answer questions about the platform's activities and security processes. During the 5 depositions of key Act Blue fraud prevention and legal personnel, the employees invoked their Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination in response to every single one of the committee's substantive questions.
You know, I've thought about like how fun it would be to get employed by one of these organizations like this on the left and just just gathering the information so that way when they get frickin' prosecuted or they start getting investigated, just go, hey, I've got everything you want, just give me immunity and I'll just bring it all in. I'll let the beans spill across the entire table and onto the floor. Just because it'd be fun. It'd be fun to just screw these people as hard as you could. Maybe someone should do that. If you're watching and you're looking for a job, there you go. You can do a job as a double agent in one of these left-wing organizations.
So this makes sense about Harris when she was running for president. Harris raised an astonishing $81 million in the 24 hours following President Joe Biden calling it quits in July 2024. In August, the campaign said it raised $361 million, bringing the total to more than $615 million in fundraising since Harris had entered the race. The congressional investigation has found donations poured through the platform from Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Colombia, and other countries. So, we had external countries influencing our election.
Obviously. Well, is that a surprise, though?
No.
It's not a surprise because it's not even about the Democrats and Act Blue at this point. It's just when we are the most powerful country in the world, every single country wants to influence us in every way that they can. And they have a chance to get involved in our political system to help get a candidate that's more favorable to them. They're gonna do it. They're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. They're watching out for their own interests. So I mean, it's not like they're doing it necessarily maliciously. They want to protect themselves, and being involved in the U.S. is one way to do it.
And obviously, Harris's campaign went through Act Blue. Right above the Harris paragraph, it says, records obtained through subpoenas confirmed suspicions that Act Blue had accepted unverified payments during record-smashing fundraising totals for the Democrat Party's presidential replacement candidate. So yeah, it went through them.
Yeah.
And Act Blue has consistently denied wrongdoing and insists it has always been forthcoming with Congress.
Yeah, but let's be honest. $81 million in 24 hours is absolutely absurd. That much money moving that quickly. Money does not typically move that quickly.
Yep.
And Act Blue is just a platform for facilitating fraud and campaign finance crimes.
That
is what it really is.
So true. And what's more disturbing is that the record, and according to the congressional report, Act Blue attempted to hide the fact that anti-fraud measures were relaxed, the attorney asserted. The report shows that Act Blue, one of the nation's major players in online political fundraising, is simply not taking the necessary steps to stop fraudulent and illegal political contributions from being made over its platform.
Yeah. Scroll on down.
Texas Attorney
General Ken Paxton sued the platform that has processed north of $16 billion in donations, more than the GDP of some nations, over the past 22 years. Paxton opened a probe into the organization in 2023, eventually sending the Federal Election Commission a petition for rulemaking, quote, detailing how suspicious actors had appeared to be continuing to use Act Blue's political fundraising platform to make a large number of straw political donations.
Yep.
So, a straw political donation is a donation on somebody else's behalf that's not allowed to. Like a straw purchase is if I had gone and purchased a gun for the purpose of it, like if I took someone else's money to go and purchase a gun for them because they're not allowed to legally purchase that gun. That's a straw purchase. This is a foreigner who's not allowed to donate to our political campaigns, giving his money to someone else who is legally allowed to donate to political campaigns.
So, yeah.
And they probably took a cut of it, let's be honest.
It's pretty obvious for that lady. $150,000 went through her name, 2 donations. Makes you wonder how many of us have donated to the Democrats and we don't even know it because.
Well, at least on
name.
paper, it wasn't our money, but it was on paper under our name.
But still.
Most likely, that's very possible.
Okay, ready for the
Yeah,
next
let's
article?
hit up that next article. We've burned this one to the ground.
So,
Massachusetts jury convicts illegal immigrant of identity theft, stealing benefits, and voter fraud.
yep, there she
So
is.
this lady, not legally in the U.S., came a long time ago, in what, freaking 20 years or so?
Yep, a federal jury
Yeah, right there.
in Massachusetts has convicted a Colombian woman of living illegally in Boston under a stolen identity for more than 20
Didn't they
years.
find more than one identity?
No, she only had one. It was a different person that had 2 from Canada. A lady from Canada.
Yeah, those dang Canucks. Get them out of our country.
And received over $400,000 in stolen benefits.
Authorities say the woman obtained a Massachusetts real ID. You know, the one with the gold star that's supposed to help prevent this crap.
But she'd been here for so long.
And
she had a
8
track record.
other state IDs through the stolen identity, which she also used to apply for a U.S. passport. Gosh damn. It's a joke. Like, that's the thing is I get it. Like, we want the SAVE Act passed. We want to have security in our elections. But then you look at this and it's like, she applied for a U.S. passport. Apparently she didn't get it. I mean, who knows? That might have been how they caught her. But frickin' having the real ID and whatnot, no one was able to just verify that she was even legally in the U.S.
But we had a not previous
For how
article,
long?
one I've seen before, where they pulled over a semi-truck driver. It was last year, and he had the star on his ID, and his name on the driver's license was no name given.
Well, I remember the whole debate of that real ID bullcrap. And it's like, oh, this is just going to be fake to universalizing our stuff and making us registry of people and whatnot. And it's like, well, they're right, because clearly it's not stopping the fraud and crap that they said they'd be able to stop with it. Because frickin' that driver had a real ID, this chick had a real ID. It's clearly they're not stopping people from getting them that aren't supposed to be able to get them.
Well, just like the article we had last week, or the previous week, it was about the voter registry or the county clerk. They can't verify citizenship. Is the DMV the exact same situation? They can't verify we're a citizen. They just trust us and then mark the real ID on it.
It probably depends on the state.
Yeah.
It probably depends on the state. There's probably a lot of states that don't let them verify citizenship status.
Oh, and this lady also voted.
Yeah.
So, Miss.
I'll give you. I don't think it says who she voted for, but I'll give you one guess. It shouldn't be too hard to figure that out.
So Miss Orvio Hernandez has lived in this country illegally for 2 decades, during which time she repeatedly made false statements, stole, committed fraud, and even voted illegally. The air of entitlement is astounding. This case is yet another example of our commitment to rooting out those who violate our immigration laws and steal from United States citizens. Look at all the fraud that's been going on. The Somalis have been raiding our bank with the daycares. We're also finding Medicaid fraud, trucking fraud.
Yeah.
We talked about the Native Americans an episode or 2 ago, where they're getting taken into recovery houses, but they just keep them doped up just to keep filing Medicaid claims.
Yeah.
So we have so much fraud. It is sad going on.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. We just need to find a little piece of Africa that's just like a peninsula that's sticking out there or whatever, that we can just turn into a prison colony and we can just send all these people there. Just get rid of them. Take them off the continent. Send them to a place that's going to be miserable where they won't want to be. And then maybe we'll actually get people to stop doing this because they'll realize the consequences are too high.
Hence why Britain sent everyone to
Australia? Yeah. Great prison colony. Fantastic idea. Hey, let's send these criminals to the continent where they have spiders as big as dinner plates. Let's send them there. Oh, hey, they straightened up and fought together and actually created a halfway decent country out of being just criminals initially.
Except the middle of the country is just desert. The only real inhabitable areas are along the edge.
I know, but still, it worked out. Maybe we can create another great country by just doing another prison colony. Let's just do another prison colony. Maybe 100 years from now, it'll be a great country.
And she cast a fraudulent ballot in 2024. We at least know at least once she did it.
We should bring banishment back as a normal punishment for crimes, too.
And here she is, Colombia. The name is EC, so she apparently is using that name, whatever that name is. And driver's license, 2007, and she's been here since 2003.
Sorry, the mic wasn't like I was just looking. Yeah, go ahead. Scroll on down.
So these are the benefits.
The Colombian national also received more than $400,000 in federal benefits, $259,000 in Section 8 rental assistance, $101,000 in Social Security,
disability,
and Social Security disability benefits. $43,000 in supplemental nutritional assistance, SNAP. That's some of the SNAP. Who knows? Maybe they caught her through the SNAP fraud when they were cracking down on that.
But she's been on it since April 2005. She's been on that 20 years.
That's ridiculous. Absolutely. This is why we need to get rid of a lot of these social programs. And it's just because there's so much fraud, and then all it does is it's like feeding the animals at Yellowstone. You don't feed the animals because they get dependent on it, and then they don't learn how to live on their own. And it's the same way. If we can give them some assistance, but the assistance cannot be long-term assistance. It has to have a sunset when they're no longer able to get any more. Well, otherwise, you just create a whole dependency class of people who can vote or cannot vote, who are just dependent on other people working.
Yeah, and if they make us into a socialist country, eventually people won't want to work because you won't get paid for your work.
Yeah.
Everyone will get paid the exact same. There will be no reason for you to work harder.
Yep, no reason at all for it. And that's why the societies always collapse, because people realize they don't have to work hard to get the same stuff. So they just stop working hard. They stop putting their name on their work. They don't care about the quality of it, and everything starts to fall apart and collapse.
That happened.
Entropy takes place.
That happened at one of my jobs. They tried doing a socialist way. They were packing boxes. They had you in teams. Everyone's numbers got grouped together.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, you did great. This team did the best.
That was so funny. I remember, so my wife and I used to work at Young Living. We'll call them out because they deserve it. And they deserve being called out on this because they actually abandoned it after they realized it didn't work. And so in the shipping department, initially it was always just you would just pack as many as you can. You could get rewarded for doing a good job. Well, then they started doing a bonus structure, right? Was it a bonus structure or what was it?
They wanted to try a team structure to get the packages out faster and more efficiently.
Yeah. So they created this kind of team structure thing for where your team, when you put out those packages, it was averaged with your team and you're competing against the other teams. Which did create some competition, but what ended up happening, even though there was competition between these groups, there's people inside those teams started being more lax because other people would carry the weight, and then they're like, why are we carrying all the weight of the team? And so they stopped packing as fast, and so everyone's numbers went down in the shipping department, and all the customers suffered because of it. And they quickly got rid of it because they're like, yeah, this was a good idea on paper, but it didn't work out in real life. It was absolute trash. And they got rid of it pretty quickly. Like, nope, that doesn't work. It was, and I wasn't in the shipping department at the time. I was a forklift operator for them at the time. And when my wife first told me about that, and she was a trainer there in the shipping department, I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, this is gonna fail so hard And I was right, and my wife agreed. She was right. It was going to fail.
It did good for the first couple of weeks, but then you started having an employee going, I don't want to work today.
But that's how it always is. Like socialist systems and communist systems, when they first start, they start out real good. And a lot of it's because of the enthusiasm of the new system. A lot of it working out so well is because they get enthusiastic about the new system. They put in extra effort, and then quickly the enthusiasm wears off. The reality starts to set in, and then it starts to cascade down, and it doesn't work. It always collapses for that reason, because it eliminates getting rewards for individual efforts.
Yep, it did. Certain people, the ones who are working the hardest, great, but then you also start having people, because they had the line staggered where the front people did the smallest packages, the ones at the very, very end did the biggest. People would then get there and say, this is my desk.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go pack somewhere else. And they'd be purposely up near the front. Or you'd have some people like, I want to be near the back because I'm only supposed to pack 100 packages today. So if I don't pack it that many, the team will just carry me. I could pack 50 and they're not going to notice. But if I'm up at the very, very front, they'll be like, why did you not package 300 today? Because you're doing all the small ones. They would have noticed. So it was just, people did not want to work, and it just slowly fell apart very, very quickly.
Well, it's not that people didn't want to work. A lot of them were happy to go work. The problem is everyone wants to get the same amount of reward for doing less work. And it's a good thing and a bad thing. When you put it into a team effort like that, it's a bad thing. What happens is everyone's numbers get pulled down. Everyone gets pulled down in the process. When it's on an individual basis, when you're the one doing it and it's only counting for yourself and you're responsible for the output, wanting the same reward for less work ends up leading to innovation, where they find ways to do it. That's why we have tractors now, when they used to plow fields by hand. And then they thought, oh, hey, here's this giant fat animal that I've been eating. Maybe I can have it pull this for me. And then they domesticated the ox. And then from the ox, they invented the combustion engine, and that was used to do it. The innovation happens when it's on the individual level. When it's not on the individual, it creates these teams. It disincentivizes the creativity.
This is why I worry about the Democratic Socialists of America actually getting any kind of foothold in our government, or if they get control, because they say on their page, you get to choose what you want to do. People will choose to be a professional student forever, or somehow get around not working. Mm-hmm. And then eventually they're still getting their food, but I'm the one working my butt off all day. So then slowly people will just go to, I don't want to work. That is why the economy falls apart. It just does not work. I don't see how the Democratic Socialists of America will get this to function, because
they won't.
It doesn't matter. If you're in Congress, or if you're going to be the person taking care of sanitation, everyone is supposed to get paid the exact same. Mm-hmm. And so why would you want to do it?
That's the thing, babe, is they won't be able to get it to function. They all have that hubris. They all have that ego, thinking that, oh, it didn't work because it wasn't someone like me running it. And then they get to running it, and then they end up committing the next genocide. It's what happens every time with socialism or communism. It's always them thinking it didn't work the last time, or that wasn't real communism, or that wasn't real socialism, but it will work if I'm doing it because I know what I'm talking about. And then they end up committing the next genocide, and their whole system ends up falling apart anyways because it didn't work.
They end up getting to the point where you have to force every single person to work, so everyone does become a slave to keep the economy functioning. They will tell you what job you get.
Well, that's the thing, is they talk about, oh, you shouldn't have to work just to have your basic necessities met. And it's like, well, I don't know what you're thinking of, but that's not how nature works. Like,
don't you
a deer still has to go and forage. They still have to do the work to get up in the morning and go forage and to go drink water. They still have to go find it. a lion or a mountain lion here in at least Utah, they still have to wake up in the morning and do the work to go and find a prey that's suitable, because they're not going to go for the biggest one that could end up hurting them. They're not going to go for a big buck. They're going to prefer to go for something smaller and weaker like a fawn. But they still have to go and do the work to identify an optimum prey, and then they actually have to do the work of killing it to be able to eat it. They have to do the work of knowing or remembering where the water sources are. They have to do the work of finding new water sources as they travel out there in the wild. It's part of nature. You have to work for your basic survival. You don't just, a lion doesn't just get to sit there and do nothing. And all of a sudden its food comes to it. No, that's not how it works.
And don't you feel that desire to go to work every day to make sure you have food and you have a roof over your head and your children's head?
Absolutely.
I
freaking love my job too. It's fun. I get to play in the dirt all day, every day.
But that's the difference between, I think, people who work for what they have versus others who just get it given to them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really care. And they just expect to be given to them freely without anything given in return.
Yeah.
You give your hard labor in return to have a house over your head.
All right, well, we had one hell of a tangent here off of this. Let's get back.
Well,
Let's go to the next article.
It's a good discussion.
It is a good discussion, but let's get to the next article. I'm sure the tiny handful of people have had this beaten into their head too many times now.
Yeah.
All right, Obama presidential center is a disaster like his presidency. Have you seen the pictures of it?
It is so ugly. I think it looks like the stand right in front of her.
It would have looked better if it was just a giant black dildo. It would have aesthetic. Look, the male genitalia is not photogenic. Okay, it doesn't photograph well. It's still a giant black dildo would have photographed better than this building does. It is so ugly.
I'm pulling up a picture of it so we can have
No,
it.
just Obama presidential center. You have the unpaid. Get rid of it.
I know, it's being slow.
There you go. So, it just looks terrible. It just looks terrible. It's just a giant black dildo would have looked better. An obelisk. Why not just do an obelisk? For goodness sake, something that doesn't look this ugly. First of all,
What's this?
it's just probably a quote from him built into the concrete.
Most power, democracy, we
Well,
the people.
babe, it goes around the corner.
I know, but I'm just
So you're
trying
only
to see what
seeing
it's-
part of it.
That just looks ugly.
It does. It's terrible. But let's get back to the article, though. So apparently it owes some of the contractors money still. It was a couple million.
I like
right?
this right here. Former President Barack Obama and his wife Michelle are opening an 8-story shrine to themselves, built largely at everyone else's expense.
It has about as much personality as Michelle Obama has, I'll say that. Or is it Michael? I forget what she goes by.
Despite the glitzy fanfare, the monstrosity stands as a monument to hypocrisy and the Obama's unrelenting hunger for the spotlight. A legacy project for a presidency that disappointed more Americans than its architects care to admit.
Which architects? The center or the ones of the architects of his presidency? 'Cause both. I'll admit, like that is a fitting monument to their legacy because it looks like shit.
It's ugly. I saw a picture of it a couple months ago. I'm going, what is that thing?
Oh man, yeah, it's terrible. Go back to the photos of it, so make sure everyone sees that. Oh my gosh. It's just a concrete cube with some corners cut out of it. It's ugly.
And here they're putting the words up, I guess, around the glass.
It looks terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And a weird balcony on the back.
I don't know. That's probably where Michelle Obama's gonna go get herself off.
It looks worse than a skyscraper, like this in the background.
That is kind of sad. Those skyscrapers, those freaking high rises in the background do look better.
It looks like a small skyscraper in the side of it, though. It matches that thing pretty good.
It's really sad when just a standard concrete block high rise apartment building looks better than it.
Yep. So, do you want to know how much the project cost?
How much? Well, I know it was a bunch. Was it the $850 million right there?
Yep, the project.
So $850 million, so damn near $1 billion for their ego. And then Illinois taxpayers paid for about $123.3 million on infrastructure. That's not even probably the building, it's just the infrastructure changes they had to do.
With it expected to be closer to $200 million by completion.
Then, yeah, so rent's been driven up. I don't know. Okay, how I call bull crap that rent has been driven up nearby at the nearby places to it, because I would pay less if I had to live next to that monstrosity. That's absurd. It's like nearby residents say construction drove rents up 43% and pushed home prices higher. How? It's ugly.
I don't know.
It's absolutely ugly.
It is ugly.
The LDS temples all the time drive prices up around them because they are beautiful temples and they have these typically come with large grounds with just beautiful gardens.
It looks kind of like a statue in the distance. It's not a weird thing.
This is ugly. Absolutely ugly. And I don't know how property prices are being driven up and rent's being driven up. Who wants to live by that? Besides Obama and Michelle, who wants to actually live by that?
No idea.
The project has also been a nightmare for local workers and subcontractors who say they're still owed money, the opposite of the economic boost they were promised. Mike Owen, owner of Adamson Plumbing, says he's owed almost $4 million after years on the job. He's owed $4 million for the plumbing work still on the job.
Yep.
$4 million in plumbing work in that monstrosity.
You know, with all the fraud going on, it makes you wonder how many pockets got lined.
At least if it was a giant dildo, it'd only need one pipe from tip to tip the base.
But back to this.
My wife's trying not to both laugh and gag at the same time. That's what it looked like from here.
But at the exact same time, with this, how many people got their pockets lined trying to do this?
Oh, yeah.
Because you think about it, it looks like it's just solid concrete. An earthquake comes through, it's going to fall.
It looked like you were trying to both laugh and gag at the same time.
I can't believe that came out of your mouth. Come on.
Oh, worse things have come out of my mouth on the pipeline.
But really, do you need to let other people know that?
It was hilarious, okay? It was hilarious.
So, here's some information about
Omar Sharif, if that's how it's pronounced, president of the African American Contractors Association, says his contractors are owed money and feel silenced by non-disclosure agreements they signed, which is a whole nother. I have a huge problem with non-disclosure agreements. Like, there is a purpose for them, but man, are they really just abused.
Yep,
they really are just abused when it shouldn't be the case. Like, why are there non-disclosure agreements involving the construction of a presidential library? It doesn't make sense to me why.
Who knows?
Maybe especially an ugly one. I mean, to be fair, it's like if I was the contractor on that monstrosity, I would make them sign a non-disclosure agreement to not advertise my name as part of that construction project, just so my reputation wouldn't be tainted by that nasty, ugly thing.
Who knows? They might have done it because they purposely knew it wasn't going to do very good financially, so they kind of have to keep their mouths shut.
That's probably why. That's probably why they did it, because they knew that if there's any financial issues, we want them to keep their damn mouth shut about the whole project anyways.
Do you think the Obamas want dirt thrown in their face? They want to keep themselves looking glistening and pretty. Just like how a couple months ago, Obama was interfering and going to Canada to try to negotiate on the United States' behalf when we were raising tariffs against them. He still thinks he's president.
Yeah, he still keeps trying to act like he's president. He should be prosecuted for that because he was interfering in American relations when he was not legally a representative of the U.S.
Yep, that's the problem. They're pushing it.
Next tab.
Okay, next one.
Virginia study on gun. So, I don't know why. Multiple times I have wanted to say gunpowder when I was reading this article before the show and going over it. I don't know why I kept wanting to go to say gunpowder when it's groundwater. Like, why? Virginia study on groundwater and data centers calls for tighter water restrictions.
Regulations.
Or sorry, regulations, not restrictions.
So, as we all have heard,
basically Virginia is running out of groundwater. They don't have enough, and if they keep adding more businesses, their groundwater levels are gonna get depleted, and they may be in big trouble.
Yeah.
The only benefit they have is Virginia actually gets a lot of rain. Unlike here in Utah, we don't get nearly as much rain as Virginia or Louisiana. And then they keep wanting to put more and more data centers here, along with that mega scale one out there in Box Elder County that hopefully can get shut down before it even gets freaking started.
Yep.
But that's not the real problem. We just need to get MIDA shut down as an organization.
Yeah, but I'm also suspicious about the Utah Inland Port Authority. It seems that they're
another version of MIDA.
They're entwined with MIDA, and so the question is, we don't have a transparency website to see all the authority that they actually have.
Yeah.
It's questionable what they can do. So, this report that finally got released says here, produced by environmental scientists, the report, which the state for more than 6 months had refused to release, said regulators should have more authority to reject industrial water withdrawal permits, force entities to examine alternative sources of water, and clamp down on users who might be using more water than they should.
Yeah.
They kept this hidden from the public for 6 months. This should have came out in January.
Absolutely. Held it back for a while because it doesn't look good for them. Because their legislator is the one that's been pushing for these data centers because they want the tax revenue they're going to get from it. But then you flip it on the other side, they're holding that back because they're realizing, oh shoot, these data centers are not that great.
Yeah, and the governor, remember, is Abigail Spanberger, the one who signed off a bunch of new taxes that they're going to be hitting people in Virginia.
Yeah.
For dog walking, entertainment venues, all that.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous.
Stuff.
All right, let's go ahead and get to the next tab.
Okay.
I want to get going along with this. We got a lot of stuff to get through still. And we've pounded on data centers. We'll pound on data centers again. We need to do another episode.
Yep.
We're still gathering materials for another episode.
But yeah, this
things
report
have slowed down. Data centers are speeding up, but news on them have kind of slowed down for the most part ever since.
But yeah, the news
the
report
kerfuffle with Box Elder County
for Virginia is they need to be careful. And this is the scary part. They're saying that their water is starting to get depleted, according to this report. 371 data centers are in operation across the state, and another 438 are planned.
Ridiculous.
So they're over doubling their amount, and their water is already getting low.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, what was it?
What?
No, go to the next article. Was it this one actually? One of them is actually doing reclaimed water from wastewater.
I'm not sure if it's this one or not. It might be. This one was talking about some reclaimed water.
Go to the next one. Just hover over the next one. It might be this one actually.
No, it's not reclaimed.
No, one of them talks about. Either way, scroll on down in this article. I remember there was one of them that actually they were doing reclaimed wastewater, so basically taking our sanitary sewer system water and processing that, and then taking that and using that for their data center. And that's actually, I've got no problem with that. It's already water that no one else wants to deal with, and if you're just going to take it, clean it, process and clean it for the purpose of using it and cooling as a data center, that's great. Because that's, at least it's water that's now being reused for an additional purpose before it goes off somewhere else. There's still the issues with the chemical exposure that they can get, but at least it's not like they're going and they're using water that otherwise could be good drinking water. They're just using water, reclaiming water from the sewer system to be able to use it for cooling.
Yeah.
So data center water secret. So scroll on down. So basically, a lot of data centers are only actually giving out the information involving the actual cooling system itself. And these closed loop systems are not truly closed loop. They say they're closed loop systems. They're not. What happens is they still have to get rid of the water and cycle in new water for it. They do reuse the water for a period of time. They keep using the same water, but then eventually they do have to get rid of it and replace it with new water. So it's not a true closed loop system, but it's not as wasteful as you might think, but it's not as wasteful as it could be effectively, is what it is. But they are trying to compromise and reuse the water as much as they can, but they can only do it so much because of their process, the type of equipment they have to run it through. It's not always good for it.
Yeah.
But I think it may be the next article.
Yeah. So
but
this article touches on something a little bit different.
Yeah, this one, what it touches on is they're reporting just the water that they're using for their cooling system. They're not reporting the water that are showing the estimates of the water that they'll be using in as a whole, because some of them are also going to be starting up their own power plants, and they're trying to just get away with reporting just the data center's usage for cooling, and not report what they're going to be using for the actual power plant, which uses, it's like 80% of all the water the data centers use goes through power plants or for power generation for them.
That's what this article is saying. Was it 100% true? Not sure, but they're only telling us what the water cooling is using. They're not telling you what the power plant is using.
Yeah, that's the issue. And then what multiple news agencies have actually had to do FOIA requests to get the information, because they're not just willing to hand it over. It's been an interesting fight just to get information about all of this. So if they're trying to hide information when they're trying to do all of this, it's very clear that it's not a good look if they tell you the truth in the first place. Let's go ahead and hit that next article.
Okay. Did you want to talk any more about this one?
No, not really.
Okay. So
I want to kind of skim through the AI data center ones just because we're going to talk about it at length in another episode at some point. We'll probably bring Brandon back on too for that.
Okay. But the summary for this is basically
and we'll probably get Elijah on too, because he's more pro AI data center, so he can give the other perspective on it too.
Yeah. So this summary is just, we're not being told the true amount for the data centers. So they're saying a certain amount for the Stratos project. If this is true, they're only telling us 20% of the picture. Yeah. They're not telling us the other 80% the natural gas plant will need. And so they're wanting, it was 13,000 acre feet of water, but the first couple of permits were only for maybe 2,000.
And that was probably just for cooling. Because it was a hyperscale data center.
Yep, so that's scary. They're not being truthful. And this article also points out, either way you slice it, the number a company puts in its press release is the smallest slice of the real footprint. It is the only slice anyone is required to disclose.
Yeah, I know. Go ahead.
Okay.
Let's hit that next tab. Utah speak out as yet another data center is planned near the Great Salt Lake. So there's a hyperscale data center in Box Elder County in the north end, and then this data center that they're talking about in this article about that's down there on the south end by Tooele, or
Yes.
Thule, if you want to piss them off.
Yep.
So, Tooele Valley Project area, the wider project is supported by the Utah Inland Port Authority, which is basically another version of MITA. They have a lot of authority they shouldn't have.
Yes.
And would include a 500 megawatt data center and a truck stop. Plans call for pipe up to 250,000 gallons of polluted water each day into Gilbert Bay on the Great Salt Lake.
Mm-hmm.
That's 250,000 gallons each day they're putting into the Great Salt Lake. That's wastewater from the cooling system.
Well, that is into the wetlands, supposedly 1-point-something miles from the Great Salt Lake.
Yeah.
But we did talk about this last week.
That's the thing. It goes into the Great Salt Lake. That's what it is.
We did talk about this last week, but I re-brought it up because I looked into the reverse osmosis.
Mm-hmm.
So, right here, the Tooele Valley project needs a water discharge permit because it would include a reverse osmosis treatment plant to provide water for the development. And I looked at it. Apparently, for the most efficient reverse osmosis, it would be a 1-to-1 gallon ratio.
Mm-hmm.
So they would be pulling to throw away 250,000 gallons of polluted water a day. They'd be pulling out 500,000 gallons of water a day out of that area.
I imagine that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why is because that's probably 125,000 gallons a day for the cooling, and the other 125,000 is the wastewater in the process of the reverse osmosis. Because if it is all part of that project, like with the last article, that's the immediate project, and so they would have to disclose that. And so that's probably what the 250,000 gallons is both the cooling water that gets dispersed into it, and then the wastewater from the reverse osmosis too.
They haven't said how much water they're going to pull at all. They're just saying this permit is to give them approval to discharge 250,000 gallons.
If I'm right on what I'm saying, then that's 250,000 gallons of polluted water a day. That would be roughly 250,000 gallons of water they're pulling every day.
No, it says it's a 1-to-1 ratio, so I
Okay.
looked it up.
That's what I'm saying. You're skipping that part. Is if it's 125,000 gallons that they need for the plant, and then they process it reverse osmosis, that's 250,000 gallons total. And so they need half of that's processed to be able to use it for their cooling, and the other half would just be poured out. And so that's 250,000 gallons total that they would pour out. That's if that's what that number is. I mean, it's part of the immediate project, so they should be required to release that, to publish that. And that's what it sounds like it is.
Well, when I did this analysis, it said it would be minimum 300 to potentially 900,000 gallons they would pull out of the ground a day. If for the worst, not very good one, where it'd be maybe 1 gallon of clean water versus 4 gallons of water that get thrown away.
Mm-hmm.
For the most efficient one, it'd be 1-to-1.
Hopefully they would use the most efficient one.
So they're
And that's the thing is, what are they calling polluted water? Are they calling the discharge water from the reverse osmosis polluted water? Or are they only calling the water that's been through the cooling system their polluted water?
they're saying
If they're only calling that the polluted water, then yeah, you're right. It's actually more like 500,000 gallons a day that they would be pulling.
Yeah. So it's that one. This is
I would imagine, I would hope that they would be trying to release both of those as the total amount, because it's like that would be all of it.
I think they're working on trying to get this approval to even build the data center.
Yeah.
They're trying to get this approval because they're saying we need to discard 250,000 gallons of the arsenic, heavy metal, chlorine laced water.
They're trying to get this because if they can't get this permit, there's no point in them even building.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to get this first, because it's like, if we can't get the permit, well, we don't have anything else we can do with the water, so they might as well not even build.
That's why I'm saying minimum, they're pulling 500,000 gallons a day,
Yeah.
if not up to maybe 900,000 gallons a day,
Yeah.
just to run it through the reverse osmosis.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. And this article, the other reason why we pulled it up is the Great Salt Lake, this area has a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It is under restrictions on water usage.
Oh, really?
Yes. So
Like
where
the
is
whole
it?
state right now, for the most part, because we have so little water. This last winter was terrible for us.
Here it is. Commenters worried about paving over a fragile ecosystem that supports wildlife and millions of migrating birds. They questioned the data center's water demands, with the Great Salt Lake teetering on the brink of another record low. They noted Tooele County's water is overtapped and has been subject to a state-mandated groundwater management plan since the 1990s.
Yeah.
They complained that politicians seemed more concerned about enriching developers than protecting Utahns and the environment.
That is something that's underestimated here in Utah, is we are in a major migratory pathway right there with the Great Salt Lake for a lot of migratory birds. Bird watchers like to come all over to be able to watch that, because especially if it's a bird that likes saltier waters, this is the place.
Mm-hmm.
This is the place for them to stop halfway between. It's like we got seagulls here, we got pelicans here, we got a few other water type birds here, but the biggest thing is that we have so many migratory birds that come through this area because of the Great Salt Lake and the Utah Lake.
And here is this other concern right there, Kyle. It would also generate its own energy using natural gas generators. They want to make a slight plant there.
And they're not going to be releasing that water usage either.
So,
because that's the whole point of the article before, is they're not going to release what water that's going to use.
Nope.
They're going to release the water that's going to use later in a separate permit for that power plant, when that's a whole different project on its own, and people aren't thinking about this data center along with it.
yeah. And the thing is, they might be putting 250,000 gallons a day back into the Great Salt Lake, but that soaks into the ground. They keep draining the aquifer. That thing is going to dry up.
Mm-hmm.
And right here, when the lake dries up, people younger than me are going to die of arsenic poisoning, said Michael Kalm, a past president of the Utah Psychiatric Association. And my concern is that people who are in business and have a profit motive, they don't see that.
Mm-hmm.
And the data center discharge, they admitted,
I have no problem with the profit motive, because it's actually a good motive. It's a way to help keep them going in the right direction. The problem, though, is this isn't really about these companies. It's about the state even allowing some things to be happening when the people here have been voting against it. They keep bringing in these data centers, or trying to bring in these data centers, and people keep protesting against them. It's not like it's the left doing it. It's both the left and the right. This is the one thing that's united us here in Utah, is we do not want data centers. Like, we have a couple, but that's where we want to keep it. The small data centers, not these big hyperscale ones they keep trying to do.
Yep.
Which I don't understand why they want to put these hyperscale data centers in states that struggle with water. It doesn't make sense.
I think they purposely want to dry us out. And when he's talking about the arsenic poisoning, he's telling the truth, because in that permit, it admits that they will be depositing arsenic into the wetlands.
Of course.
And all that discharge.
Yep. Not even a surprise. All right, let's hit that next tab.
That's the only reason why I brought this up again, is because I looked at the reverse osmosis and a little bit more information that Tooele is in a drought.
Yeah.
They've been restricted since the 1990s.
Well, the whole of Utah's been in a drought. Yeah, so that's the Inland Port Authority. They don't have any of the same requirements, although they don't have a transparency website like other agencies do, because they're required to.
And this is this page is old. It's from 2025, so last year they were going out against them. But I brought it up because apparently some of the stuff right here. And who was it? Who was on this bill?
You mentioned the same people were on the Inland Port Authority that were on MIDA.
Jerry Stevenson. He's
Mhm.
on the MIDA board. So, allow Utah Inland Port Authority to withhold public information about businesses moving into project areas. Let Utah Inland Port Authority spend taxpayer money on private projects. Apparently, this passed. Hence, the data center is trying to come through. Remove restrictions on warehouses and distribution projects, and restructure the board to protect itself from legal challenges. And this bill, apparently Bill 239, passed.
Yeah.
And Stevenson is on the MIDA board, and a couple people from MIDA are actually on the Utah Inland Port Authority board.
Yeah.
Did you want to see who that is?
No, not right now. Don't give a crap about them. We just need to get rid of both MIDA and also the Utah Inland Port Authority.
We need to bug who made the transparency website for MIDA to make one for Utah Inland Port Authority so we can see all the powers that they have.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It looks like this what the legislator's been doing here in Utah is creating these legislative bodies like MIDA or UIPA.
Yeah.
And just giving them a shit ton of legislative powers effectively.
Their job
and then it's only a couple of the legislators in charge of it. And so they just get to lambaste the state with all these things they want to do without having to bring it to a full vote in the House or in the Senate of our legislator.
The hard part with them is both of them have been designated as economic development. That is their job. MIDA was military. Them are for economy. Their job is to get the economy moving, but they are not doing it wisely. And I don't know, it said someone like Michael Schultz or someone could appoint someone to this board.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's something we have to look into. I want to look at the Utah Inland Port Authority when we do the MIDA one because they're very, very similar.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It seems like they are quite similar and that they serve the same purpose of bypassing normal legislative process for these projects.
And some of them are on that board as well. That's a conflict of interest. And some of them are also in our house.
It's not technically a conflict of interest. It's a conflict of interest is frickin' who was it, Schultz? I think it was Schultz and Adams maybe that both had a ton of land up there by the data center.
It wasn't Adams. It was Stevenson.
Both of them had a crap ton of property up there, and they're benefiting from it. That's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Them being in charge of MIDA or being on the board of MIDA or the Utah Inland Port Authority, that's not really a conflict of interest. That's just how it normally works in the system.
Yeah, but I feel like they're working together behind the scenes.
Yeah, but that's not a conflict of interest, though. They're both legislative bodies. It's not a conflict of interest.
So, back on the data centers, we are worried this is the government's new way of forcing them through. What do you think about this? The Trump admin swaps out solar project for data center.
This is a freaking... There's a freaking article here about the people who hate Trump that want to claim this is Trump's fault. Did Trump even actually have anything to do with it?
Probably not.
Not really. This is a solar panel project that then got reclassified into a data center project.
But Trump
He already doesn't like the solar panel green energy crap. He does support the data centers. But did he actually was he the one who made the decision? Probably not.
I know. Probably not. But it's just a concern if this is their new strategy to get these data centers passed. Is pass another project and then swap it out the last minute. That is the concern.
And that is a problem. They cannot be doing that. They should not be switching it out to avoid public scrutiny or public hearings.
So right here, the Bureau of Land Management has approved an AI data center on national public land that was originally approved for our solar energy project without conducting a new review or taking public comment on the switch.
Yeah, they have to do a new review. They're doing like environmental studies. They have to redo it because it's not even the same thing. They're trying, it was a former bureau head is mentioned here in the article, and he's actually talking about how this is unprecedented. It's like normally it's like if you switch it up like this, you're doing a whole new review process. You're doing it all over again, and they're using very vague terms to try and classify them as similar projects when they're not.
Well, it's a city spokesperson that said it was unprecedented, that they can't give an
City
opinion.
spokesperson. There's a former head of the
Yes.
head of the BLM or of that agency.
Yep, it's down here. It's an extraordinary and
Liberal interpretation of existing laws and regulations.
But the BLM justified its approval by claiming that a solar project and a data center are substantially the same, noting similarities in acreage, perimeter, construction time, and the shape and size of the facilities.
Yeah. See, and that's why he said that. It's an extraordinary and liberal interpretation of existing law and regulations. They're being very vague in the parameters of how they define these two projects to classify them as similar projects so they don't have to do the hearing and approval process again.
This was a bait and switch, said Olivia Tanager, director of the Toyoba chapter of the Sierra Club. If we allow this precedent to stand, the fear is that this could promulgate, I know I slaughtered the word, throughout not just Nevada, but all over the country in the interest of expediting data centers.
And I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bait and switch. The question I would have is, when did the solar panel project start? When did they start doing the approvals? If they started it a long time ago in the Biden administration...
2023.
2023?
That's when they received the approval. It took time to get stuff going.
So this is during the Biden administration is when it happened. And he's pushing the green energy solar panel bullcrap. And now it's the Trump administration that's de-emphasizing the solar panel bullcrap and emphasizing data centers because they know that we want data centers for our national defense. So this isn't a bait and switch like they're claiming. It's two different administrations with the same project but different priorities, and now the project's been switched. And it shouldn't be that they just get to skip all the process. They have to start. I would agree they have to start all over again because it's a wholly different project now. Yeah. But I wouldn't call it a bait and switch precisely, because that's not what the intention wasn't to go in with a solar panel project and then switch it out. The intention of the Biden administration was the solar panel project. And now that Trump's in, there's a different set of priorities in place.
Yep, but still, they need to get the public's input, the city's input. But then again, you have so many of these data centers, they just want to shove them through and not have any kind of opinion given.
Yeah. Well, let's hit up the next tab.
Okay.
Let's get off these damn
Utah.
data centers.
And water again.
Yep. Vernal residents shocked by soaring water bills as drought prompts state rep increase. Steep rate increases. Basically, it's a rate shock because it's 5 times more is what they're suddenly paying, and yet some of their neighbors nearby who are in a different water system their bill hasn't changed at all.
Yeah, I saw some articles that says they have at least 3 different water areas out there. And so the two of them are not doing anything, but one of them is implementing steep rate increases where their water bill jumped from being $151 for 61,000 gallons of water to $945.
And the thing is, this person that's talking about is a retired person. They probably are still growing hay or alfalfa on their land. And when you have a steep increase in price on water like that, it can cripple you as a farmer. It can absolutely cripple you. You can't afford those kind of margins.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely absurd. I get raising prices, because raising prices does help convince people to conserve water and not waste as much, especially when we're in a drought. And it's part of the whole supply and demand. If supply is decreased but demand stays the same, then the cost has to go up. But the problem, though, is 5 times the amount in price or more, while other areas in the same area, other districts in the same area, are not changing their price at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's disproportionate is what it is.
It is. And some people, they could even just be raising one cow to butcher.
Mm-hmm.
For their meat supply in 2 years.
Yeah.
And so they need some grass
Well,
to
it's
grow.
like we got our neighbor, he's got a couple cows on his land, and that's for meat. And he waters this big field, but for the most part, he has enough land that he can just water that field. And then what happens? Oh, it grows just enough grass that he doesn't have to feed them in the summer. He only has to really buy hay or alfalfa in the winter for his cows. And that's pretty much it. And so it all depends on what you're doing, but it takes water to do it, and it's drastic without a real good explanation.
Yeah, they're not exactly explaining why.
Now they did decrease the minimum rate, the flat rate, because all people who pay into water bills, like us, ours is like $35 is our minimum bill. That's our base rate. And that's there because they need to be able to pay people like me to go and fix pipes when they break.
Yeah.
But they decreased their base rate, but then increased their per 1,000 gallon rate, basically. And so now once they go over a certain amount of usage, now all of a sudden their rate skyrockets.
Well, I would be concerned about them doing something here. We have some chickens, so we have to get the chickens water every couple days.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is we have a duck as well, and so we use our duck's pond, because our duck needs water for her to be healthy. She needs to have water that she can swim and dunk herself in. Mm-hmm. And so we just use the water that she's in her pond as our water source for our chickens. So we try to be efficient about it.
But then we also take it and we use it to water our fruit trees when we need to exchange out the water.
Well, that's the thing, is her water gets dirty and nasty. We don't want our chickens drinking that all the time. And so we take it, we pump it out, we water trees with it and whatnot, because it's super fertile, high in nitrogen for the trees. And so they'll like it, and then we just refill the pond. It's not a huge pond, but that's the thing, is like, if they're going to increase the rate on us, it's going to be hard for us to make sure our duck is healthy.
Yeah, we probably couldn't do that. So many lawns around here are dying because people can't afford the water bills, and
we're barely giving our grass enough water to not die. Barely.
Because we have to give water to the chickens and the duck.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make choices.
And
that's the hard part.
Our strawberry patch is also on the same line as our frickin' grass, which is one thing I want to change. I want to eventually get a new line specifically for our strawberries so they're separate. Because our strawberry patch and our grass, they don't need the same amount of water, and so it's kind of redundant or ridiculous to have them on the same line.
Yeah, but we haven't even been eating the strawberries because all of
that late frost.
Well, all the wasps have been over there because they're looking for water.
Mm-hmm.
So they're eating all of our strawberries, and we don't want to have the kids go picking them and getting stung.
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing, is it's pretty sucky. And then that late frost we had that freaking killed most of the blossoms for our strawberries, for our June bearing. We didn't get any surge of strawberries in our June bearing strawberries.
Nope. Hopefully we get a really good winter this year. A bunch of snowpack, a bunch of water, and refill the reservoirs.
And then I also took a while to even start watering the lawn. It was springtime, so I just didn't even bother watering the lawn for a while because we were still getting rain every once in a while. So the strawberries didn't produce much during that time either.
Yep.
All right, let's hit up that next article.
Next one.
A resident in a Utah support home died after staff waited for a manager's approval to call 911. I don't even know why they still are letting this this support home freaking still operate, they should just shut it down and send all their customers elsewhere.
They've been here in Utah for a while.
Yeah, they need to shut it down. I'm sorry. There should be no approval process for calling 911. You think that that person's life is in danger, and your manager, your company has a policy of like, don't call 911. You get a manager's approval first before you call 911. You ignore the policy. You ignore the policy if you think that someone's life is at risk. Just ignore the policy. They're not. You can, if your company fires you, you can sue them later for it, because if it was really an emergency, you'll be able to show in a court of law that person would have died if you followed the policy.
Yeah.
And here we go. Someone followed the policy instead of just calling 911 like they should have, and someone died because of it. And they should be held fully liable for it. They should be paying any family medical bills for the rest of their lives because of this.
And this is the questioning part. Staff waited 20 minutes to call a manager, who then instructed them to document the client's condition for management to see.
Via video for management to see, according to the notice, the manager directed the staff to wait for an assistant manager to transport the client for medical care. You guys are retarded.
Do you want to know the sad part is?
What?
I think that's the place that I applied for a job about a year ago.
Wait, you think so?
They have multiple houses. They have multiple houses, and I applied for this company last year.
Northeastern Services?
Yes.
Was that it?
Yes.
So you have the inside scoop.
It was weird.
Everything you explained to me made it sound sketchy as hell. Sketchy as hell.
They didn't train me very well at all. And
no, you had no training, and then you're about to be expected to be with these people overnight.
All by myself.
By yourself, yeah. No, it was everything you were explaining. It was sketchy as hell. Honestly, now that I know that's the same company, I'm surprised people didn't die sooner. This is bad.
Well, usually the people are a little bit better, and like I said,
this is going to be a clip. You're making this into a clip, by the way, because you applied for this company and it was sketchy. It was sketchy. Like, we were thinking it does not sound right that this is how it's supposed to be going. Why did you were being entrusted with making sure these people got their medications on time. You were barely even given any information about them or their medications and how and when they should be administered.
This is for
You were basically left up to your own devices, practically. It's a miracle they didn't get more people killed than this one.
They wanted... I believe they wanted people who were in the medical field, and they're accepting everyone that would not apply, but they want you to do an application. But they should be a little bit more specific. People who are medical field trained only to be doing this job. They wanted me to get the people ready for bed, get them their medications on time, get them all up in the morning, and check them out throughout the night.
And they barely gave you training.
They gave me about 5 hours of training, and then I was supposed to get trained another 5 hours the next night, then I'd be by myself. And that's when I said, nope, I am not trained for this. I do not have the medical training to take care of 5 people versus me.
Yeah. No, that's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah.
And if it was the same house, though, too, that it happened in on the other side, you probably would have called 911. You wouldn't even call the manager.
Yeah.
You would have if you had been working there, ironically, that person probably, if it was at that house, it would have been, they would have lived because you would have freaking called 911.
But they also did, when I was doing the training, they explained it was dependent on the patients that were in the house. If they were more medically necessary, there'd be 2 people on shift.
Oh, yeah.
If they were a little bit more, if they're really independent, you just had to kind of help remind them, it'd be only 1 person.
Yeah.
So maybe there could have been 2 people, but it just depends on the house's needs and what they're allotted. But yeah, it
doesn't matter. It was so sketchy when you were starting the training with them, and it was bad.
It is for professionally trained medical people, not me, who knows nothing about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's the fact that they would hire someone without any kind of medical experience.
I was waiting for you to notice that. And
I didn't notice that. I didn't even remember the name of the company. That's the same company you had applied for.
Yes, I saw the name, Northeastern Services, Spanish Fork, and that's where I went to apply.
Gosh, damn.
And my interview and everything. And I got one night of training. I'm like, this is just not for me.
You need to make sure this is a clip, because, this is bad.
Oh.
This is terrible for them. Right. Who knows? That actually might be a clip that actually gets a bunch, because it was sketchy as hell.
Okay, next article so we can get off of embarrassing me.
Family of this person sue the living shit out of them. It's absolute. They deserve it. They deserve to lose their business over this. I'm sorry. It was neglect. I'm telling you, it was neglect.
And they did not give me any kind of training for that kind of situation. If something like that happens, other than talk to the manager immediately.
Whether it was neglect on care or just neglect on training,
but
it was some kind of neglect in my opinion.
Yeah. My whole thing I'm wondering is the place I went to apply is a couple houses together, and so you have a person at each individual house.
Yeah.
So a manager's in one of those. How did it take them 20 minutes to get the manager to them? That is the thing I do not understand.
You would hope there's some kind of shift manager on
There's
site.
supposed to be on that house that you have 3 or 4 houses together. There's going to be at least someone there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe they were sleeping or something was going on. It's just 20 minutes.
Who really knows? Weird. But that's pretty bad. All right, let's get to the next article. So, bride to be. This is fantastic. This is so Utah.
I don't think she wanted to get married. When you read a couple things in here,
either she didn't want to get married, or she really didn't want her reception to be in a church cultural hall. One of the two. Because that's the cliche here in Utah, is you just if you don't have money, you just go and do it at the church house.
That's what we did, except that was the reception, not the wedding.
But we didn't have money, and that's what we did. It's the cliche. It's what all of us frickin' do here, because there's 1,000 churches per square mile in this place, and then on top of that, they're all free to use. All of them are free to use. Even if you're not a member of the church, you look up online the contact for that ward or that stake, and you can get in contact with their building scheduler, and they'll let you hold your wedding in there. Mm-hmm. They'll just let you know, hey, clean up before and after. We'll have someone come by to help unlock the doors for you and whatnot. Like, you don't have to be a member of the LDS church, and you can get married in one of our church houses, because we don't care. You want to get married, let's get you hitched.
Yeah, I don't think they were getting married in the temple. I think they're actually literally either getting married here.
No, I think so too, because they
reception.
talked about the Relief Society room is where they were doing some stuff. And normally, if you're doing the wedding itself, it's going to be the cultural hall or in the Relief Society room, one of the two. Because that's where my friend Scott got married, was the Relief Society room.
Yep.
But yeah, so this woman was arrested after she was accused of starting a fire in a church building while setting up for her wedding, which was scheduled to take place in the following day. So from what I understand, it was a pile of stuff that she had set on fire in the Relief Society room. $108,000. There it is. One of the items, including, was appeared to be a tampon. So I guess at least she was smart enough to find some cotton to help start the fire. But $108,000 in damages, and one of the guys on Latter-day Saints, that podcast, he was like, how is it $108,000 in damages when she just started a little pile of stuff on fire in the Relief Society room? Well, there's this thing called smoke damage.
Yep.
It's like, that fire may have just been small and localized to that area of the carpet, but all the smoke it released, All of that could have done damage.
And the sprinkler went off.
And the thing is, you don't want to be going to church next week and have your Relief Society room smelling like melted carpet, melted polyester fibers. That's going to smell disgusting. It's going to be terrible.
The fire alarm went off, so to me it thinks that the sprinklers went off.
No.
No?
Nope. No, so the sprinkler system works different. So the fire alarm went off, which alerted authorities to the fire. Because it's a big building like that, it's automatically connected to the system that the fire department immediately gets in a notice. Mm-hmm. The sprinklers, though, if you look up on them, you'll see that little red thing above the sprinkler. That's a glass tube. They're either red or green. The two different colors, what it is a liquid inside. And it heats up and expands and builds pressure. And each one of them will break at a different temperature. And so what happens is a brass plug with that glass tube holding that brass plug in place. And so when that explodes, the brass plug shoots out and water just flows. It's already pressurized and everything. So it doesn't need build pressure to spray or anything. It's ready to go. And so when that breaks, you can set fire sprinklers off just by going up there with a little hammer and just tapping and breaking the glass. Mm-hmm. It'll go off. You don't need heat to do it. But it's designed for it to be heat that breaks the glass. If it's above this temperature, then there is a fire. If it's just smoke, it could just be something smoldering or someone burning something in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And so it's designed to go off when the heat gets high enough that it actually causes that to burst. And some of them, I believe I've only seen 2, red and green, but there's probably a few of them for different temperature settings when it will go off based off the conditions of what type of space you're trying to protect and what you expect to see there.
So it turns out the groom told investigators they had gone to Ace Hardware earlier in the day to buy some hooks for the wedding. After reviewing footage, officials said Marino, the girl, stole 2 to 3 lighters from the store. Officials said the groom was not nearby.
Why
officials said
steal them?
The groom was not nearby when she allegedly grabbed the lighters. So that's why I said I think she did this on purpose for some weird reason.
But why would you, first of all, why would you need more than one? Because it's plural. And yeah, it's 2 to 3 lighters, it says it. So why would you need more than one? And then on top of that, why would you steal them when you could just buy one and be like, oh, I just need another one for my candles, mm-hmm. And say I wanted to put candles in the thing, or just say you have candles you want to use at home or something, like you just need a lighter.
Like I said, I feel
it's an easy excuse out.
I feel like she may have not wanted for this to go through.
Obviously, because she's in jail now.
What day was July 10th? Was it like a Friday?
I don't know.
Because I'm just questioning it. If she really wanted the wedding to go through, right here, it is believed that Lenita started a fire within a church building while 5 others were still inside. The probable cause stated Latina did not obtain a marriage license for her own wedding that was to occur the day after the fire.
Lenita.
But did you hear that part? She did not obtain a marriage license for her own wedding that was supposed to occur the following day.
Yeah.
And she lied that she had obtained it.
Yeah, it's this.
So
this whole thing's sketchy.
Did she do it to delay the wedding because it's like, I can't get the marriage certificate, and he thinks she already got it? I don't know. Or does she really not want to get married?
Well, in Utah, I believe both persons have to show up. And so you can't just, like when you and I got married, we went and got our marriage license together.
Yeah.
And I believe both persons have to show up in Utah. So it's like...
It's been so long since we did that, Kyle.
To be fair, though, men are often oblivious to a lot of this shit.
Yeah.
So it's like, did he even know that he had to go in person for the marriage license? Did he even know that?
Well, I don't know if she's getting married now. It does not state if they got married because the church was ruined. she didn't have a marriage license stated on that day. She was
Well,
released 2
obviously
weeks
she's
later.
not getting married now. She set the church on fire and she's in jail.
Who knows? They still could have gotten married, and now he found out I just married her. Or they're still waiting because.
Well, he didn't even have a marriage license, so if anything, he dodged a bullet with that kind of crazy.
Yeah, but there was 2 weeks in between this and when she was put in jail. So
And
they
if
still
she's
could've gotten
willing to
married.
start a fire to stop her wedding, she must be pretty hot. Because there's no other way that a guy would be willing to put up with that much crazy unless she's really hot. She has to be pretty attractive for him to put up with that level, be willing to marry that level of crazy.
It's just there's no information here of what happened.
Like, do we need to pull up the hot crazy matrix video again?
No.
Go through that?
No. I think we're fine. You can look it up if you want to.
Look up the hot crazy matrix, alright guys? It's hilarious. That was a great video back in the day. Then they went and I believe they went and redid their video just to kind of mostly update it because better cameras.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Ready to go to the next one?
Yeah, let's hit the next one.
Or do you think that bride's still crazy?
Oh, that bride's psycho.
Why would she set the church on fire? And just all of that.
We'll need to pay attention for any updates on this news because I am curious, like why set the church on fire on your wedding day?
Yeah, but the hard part is with these kind of criminal cases, we might completely forget about it, and in 2 years,
And what made her
it'll
think
finally
she was
happen.
gonna get away with it too?
I don't know. She did.
Or did she know she wasn't and she just wanted a way to get out of the wedding without saying no?
I have no idea, but she was arrested 2.5 weeks after. Maybe she thought it was fine by that point. I have no clue what was going on.
Let's hit up the next article. We got a couple church articles here today for the end of the show. Latter-day Saints who to study New Testament in 2027 for Come Follow Me curriculum. So we're going to be diving back into the New Testament. If you don't know how it works, basically, we have a 4-year curriculum pattern. You got Old Testament, New Testament, Book of Mormon, D&C.
And we're doing the Old Testament right now.
Yep. And so everyone knew it was going to be New Testament. That's just how it's always kind of been.
But every once in a while, they like to send out a new version.
Well, yeah, the Come Follow Me is the new version of all of it. But for the most part, they always follow the same pattern. Old, new, bomb, and D&C.
Mm-hmm.
So
This is kind of cool where it is going to say, come follow me for home and church. This resource also supports gospel learning and scripture study for individuals and families at home.
yeah.
That's going to be kind of cool if they're focusing a little bit more for at home. And they're going to have new lessons for primary.
Nice.
That's good that they're going to be focusing on helping our children learn about the New Testament and Jesus Christ's life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome.
Now look at that. There is a stories. And this is the cover art for him.
Oh,
That's
that's
kinda
some of the
cool.
cover art for him. Nice.
Yeah, I like that.
No, that's great. All right. Let's hit up the last story for tonight.
Yep.
What is it? I know what it is. First 2 Latter-day Saint chaplains begin service in British Army. So we also had another thing on here of two of the first female chaplains for Air Force and Navy. I got rid of those because we already have had chaplains in the U.S. for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the first 2 chaplains for the LDS Church in the British military, which the fact that it's even more than one is pretty good. Should show a lot. The LDS Church has been growing a lot overseas. The U.S. population has been kind of stagnant. It's had a little bit of growth, but not a lot. But the foreign scene, though, across the world, we have been growing exponentially here.
I looked.
Go ahead.
I looked at the UK.
Mm-hmm.
They are at barely under 200,000 members.
What's the
they're at 100.
population? What's the population of the UK?
I don't know, but I know the members
It's probably like 30
190
million.
something thousand. So.
I bet you it's between 30 and 50 million for the UK population.
69 million.
Oh, dang, bigger than I thought. It's a tiny island for a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's a really tiny island for a lot. I don't think people understand like how small the UK is for that many people.
Huh?
Granted, though, I mean, a lot of are packed into cities and whatnot, and it is still a big country. Like, don't get me wrong, but
and
it's almost a third. It's almost a third of our population, and it's significantly smaller.
289 people per square kilometer.
Because you can double the size of England a couple times before you even get close to the size of the U.S., and they're a third of our population. So it's like they're packed in pretty good in that little island over there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 200,000 members, though, and it's enough of them now in the military that they're like, yeah, we need LDS chaplains here in the British Army now.
Yep.
So hallelujah.
So that's cool. That's exciting. I believe it says here, second from the left and second from the right.
Yeah.
Those are the new chaplains. That's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
And it said the church applied to become an endorsing authority to be approved by the United Kingdom Military Ministry of Defense in December of 2024.
Yeah.
So.
Because a lot of people don't realize that chaplain approvals, if I remember correctly, go straight up to the Quorum of the 12. Mm-hmm. Because it's a paid position for a clergy member of the church. And so they go straight up to the Quorum of the 12 for approvals.
But also,
because the LDS Church is a lay clergy, really. The only people there's only a few people who receive a living stipend. And that's pretty much the Quorum of the 12 because they are lifetime servers. And so it's like when you have people getting paid as clergy in a church that's for the most part it is a lay clergy, they're very particular about it, and they go through an approval process in the church.
But the church had to apply to become an endorsing authority that was approved by the United Kingdom Ministry. So the church had to apply for them to even be able to have that opportunity.
Yeah, no, that's great though.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing is there's enough members of the British forces who are LDS that the church is like, oh, they probably do need chaplains for when they're deployed. So let's go ahead and get approved to be an endorsing authority, and now we can have chaplains.
So here's this quote for you from Bleakley.
Mm-hmm.
That is the picture right here of him. On his first day, Bleakley said a foul-mouthed soldier pulled him aside and unloaded his problems. My goodness, poor man. His life is so hard, and yet he is trying to do his job and look after his family as best as he can, and he is carrying the weight of the world. So apparently he had a conversation with a very, very foul-mouthed soldier.
On his first day of being a chaplain.
But that's why you're there.
Funny.
You're there to be basically a counselor. You're there to talk to them, to help
That's
them.
a lot of a chaplain's job is making sure that people who need religious services can get access to have them done. Mm-hmm. And then also they act a lot as a counselor.
And that was with the women that have now been approved as chaplains by the LDS Church.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it easier, so in case you're a woman, you're going, I don't want to talk to a male chaplain. Now they can actually go to a female and have a talk with them.
Yep, there's a purpose for it.
They can't administer the priesthood, but I'm pretty sure the chaplain can find some priesthood holders to do that part.
No, they'll be able to. It's not there's always willing priesthood holders around to help out.
Have you ever thought about being a chaplain, or is your mouth a little too dirty for that?
One, it's a little too dirty for that. But two, I lost interest in even the idea of being a chaplain after I got kicked in the face by one.
Really? How?
On accident. And he wasn't a chaplain yet. He was a candidate for a chaplain. So in basic training, we did our Nick at Night course. Night infiltration course is what it's called, NIC. So the Nick at Night. It was dark out. They had guns up on towers where they're firing over our heads into the backstop is where they're firing at. And then we have our start and finish point. And so we got bullets flying overhead, and they're quite a ways overhead. They used to be pretty close. Then idiots kept sticking their heads up and getting shot. Then they went to blank rounds, and it just wasn't the same. And so now they went back to live ammo, but then the towers are elevated they're shooting from. So you still hear the bullets whizzing if you're paying attention, but it's not like you're going to get hit in the head or anything. So we're doing a night infiltration course. You have your start and stop point, and you have to low crawl. So you're not crawling up like this. You're head in the dirt, and you're dragging yourself forward through the dirt. And then they shoot up flares. Every time a flare goes off, you got to stop moving because you want to look like a dead body when you're out there. And most of the time, they're not going to really recognize if you've moved positions or not. And so then the flare dies out, you start going again. And so the first group to go in front of us was a chaplain group. Okay? And so the chaplains get up, get into position, they tell them to go, they start doing their night infiltration course. It was a chaplain school. So then we get into position, and we're waiting for the word to go. So we get the word to go, and then we start going. Now, the problem is you're crawling with your face in your dirt, dragging your head forward. You can't see ahead of you, so you have to periodically stop to look up and get your sense of direction and then keep going. So I was going. I didn't realize I was catching up to this chaplain, this guy in the chaplain school. And I look up, and then I just get a boot right to the face as he's pushing to himself forward. Just a boot. Full facial with that boot. I'm going to say that. Full facial with that boot right on it. I was amazed my nose wasn't bleeding. I was surprised because I got kicked hard by that guy. But I honestly, if I got the option to do it again, I'd probably just do it again because it was fun. Yeah, I look back at it and it was really fun to do it. But yeah, that was not the best experience to start out with.
I remember you telling me this, but you did not tell me it was a chaplain.
Yeah, it was the chaplain school just before us. And then I finally get down to the end, and my drill sergeant starts yelling at me. He's like, "Why did you take so long, Meckling?" It's like, "I got kicked in the face, Sergeant." Because it was hard. I was a little disoriented for a minute. Like, I fell behind the others because of that.
So did his boot slip or something and bam?
Well, you're crawling. It's on sandy soil, and so you're pushing. So your feet aren't, like, super effective as you're pushing. So his foot, I guess, just lost all traction, just smacked right into my face.
Do you think he even know that he hit you?
I don't even know if he knew that was me that he hit. Like, he probably just thought he hit, like, a bush or something for all I know. It was hard because he didn't say anything to me. I know that much. Because we're not supposed to talk during that whole thing either. And so I bit my tongue and just tried not to make any noise because you're not supposed to.
Well, that's good you experienced that. It's good,
Good,
you got
it was good,
personal.
huh? My wife thinks it was good that I got kicked in the face, just so everyone knows.
Hey, someone did it. It was not me, at least someone did.
Yeah, I know, right? Alright, well, that's pretty much it for the day. Congratulations to these guys.
You need a quote for the night.
Do I need a quote? I don't need a quote.
Come on! Don't you want
Well,
to
I
read
guess
another
we'll just
quote?
pull another thing from the anti-Nazi propaganda.
Yeah, let's hear it.
From, where was this from again?
Becker Mercantile.
Becker Mercantile, but what part of Arizona was it?
Springerville.
Springerville, that's right. So some more anti-Nazi propaganda out of Springerville, Arizona. Here we go. It's a mock-up of Adolf Hitler saying, "To Goebbels and Ribbentrop, I leave 30 million marks, $2, because of inflation, to buy a gift for my mother and father who are getting married the day I die." Alright, you guys have a wonderful night. And get to bed. If you're either John or Logan listening in, you too need to get to bed. It is late for you guys. You're probably about to go on to fire guard duty for all I know. So have a good night. We'll see you guys later.